us women, we have such a tie to our intuition because we have wombs that hold life and hold babies. And that life in that womb is a space where a soul on the other side can come in, and it's higher energy, it's higher frequency. And how beautiful that we have that space inside of us to be able to hold life and a soul and higher frequency within us.
Hi, and welcome to Beyond Empty Nest. I'm your host, Jody Silverman, speaker, mentor, and Chief Dare Officer at Moms Who Dare. Every Thursday, I'll share stories of midlife transformation, happiness tips, and dare you to see the opportunities waiting for you so that you can make this next chapter even better than the last. If you're ready to dare, I'm ready to dare with you. Let's get into today's episode. Feeling purposeless. My last kid left today, and I don't know what to do with my life now. My biggest challenge is that I have been a stay-at-home mom for 20 years. My kids are leaving home, and I'm searching for my purpose and a place in the world without my kids needing me. Figuring out who I am now. These are just a few of the messages that I receive every day from the women who join the Moms Who Dare community. They share this with me. And here's something important I want you to hear right now for those of you listening. For those of you who feel lost and without purpose, you're not alone, and it will be okay. And I can say that because I can relate to it as well, because I found myself feeling unfulfilled. However, by daring to ask questions, learn, be open to other possibilities, stepping out of my comfort zone, I reconnected and rediscovered myself. And the good news is you can do it too. And today, I am beyond excited to introduce you to someone who can assist you in initiating the process of reconnecting back to you. Get ready for a special treat because our guest today is none other than my friend and my spiritual advisor, Julie Kraus. And Julie Kraus is a spiritual advisor and a psychic medium who uses her intuition and connection with the afterlife to help guide those on earth to their purpose and healing. Welcome, Julie.
Hi, Jody. Thank you. And hello to everyone. Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you on Beyond Empty Nest. And before we get started, as I always say, if you're listening to this, great, but just a reminder that we do have our show on video on our YouTube channel, and you can find it through our website as well. So if you want to see Julie and see my guests, don't forget to watch the videos. So, Julie, before we get into, our conversation about connecting to intuition and purpose, because it's a big struggle that so many empty nest moms and midlife women deal with in this discovering meaning and purpose. We need to know a little bit about you, your story, because people, when I introduce you as my spiritual advisor and a psychic medium, share everybody, how did this come to be and what does that mean?
Yeah, sure. So it's been a very long journey, and I will rewind all the way back to when I was little. My grandmother had these abilities, and her grandmother had the psychic mediumship healing abilities. So it really skipped generations. And when I was little, I did not know that I was labeled as a psychic medium. I just knew that I was very sensitive. I had big emotions and a lot of them. And I could sense things that other people couldn't, but I didn't know what that was. And I also felt a very strong connection to my grandmother. And she was just an angel on earth, love and light. And she had crystals in her house, and she would do yoga, and she just captured my attention all the time. And she would always talk to me about spirit and protecting yourself with a white light. And she was angelic. So I was really around her a lot, but she also lived with me in my house. We had an in-law suite. So she was like my second mother because she helped raise me in a way. Well, she would teach me about my intuitions and tarot cards and all of that. But I was also simultaneously really fascinated by the fitness world. so fascinated by the fitness world. And that kind of swept me up and swept me away from my intuition and my feelings. But I really connected to my feelings through using my body in the gym. And I loved it so much because I could cleanse out energy, or if I was angry or frustrated or didn't understand something, I would get a really great workout and I would feel good. And I knew that because it did so much to me, I wanted to bring that to other people, especially women. So I became certified in personal training and I wound up opening up my own gym. And it was a wonderful time in life, but I also felt disconnected because I felt, wow, this was my dream. So I thought, and I'm doing it. But I was also frustrated because a lot of the women that was working with, they weren't reaching their goals to the point where they were satisfied and really happy. They would be like, yeah, well, I met some of my goals, but not all of them. And I thought to myself, well, if it was so easy to lose weight and make, like, why isn't it making people happier? If they're getting to their goals, but they're not happy, or they're getting halfway through, but they're not happy. And I realized that people could do squats, eat chicken and broccoli, and get to where they want to be, but mentally and emotionally, they may still feel unfulfilled. Or
Mhm.
some people couldn't get up off of the couch to do the workouts that I was giving them. And so I felt very ill equipped. So I went to life coaching school so that not only did it work with the physical realm, but it also worked with the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual realm. So while I was in life coaching school, I realized that, wow, I'm working just so much in the physical realm, but I'm not connecting to these other three major realms. And while I went through this school, we also had to do everything that I learned to myself, too.
Yep.
So that's what reawakened my spiritual journey, because we had to pay attention to the spiritual realm. And I started to come back to my grandmother. I started to come back to the seeds that were planted. And eventually, when I brought everything that I learned to the gym and I was working with the women more in a therapy type of a way, I started to fall in love more with that. And they started to understand themselves on a deeper level. And then when that started to unfold and trust was there and they were opening their heart up to me, I then started to get intuitive pings because intuition works out of the heart. And I thought this is fascinating and interesting because they're not telling me any of this. I don't Google them. I don't know their background. How and why would I know certain things? So the intuitive life coach aspect started to be born because I would say, so what I'm hearing is, and I would relay back to them, but in the way that my intuition is telling me, they would say, oh my gosh, yes, but I didn't even realize that I was saying that to you. And I said, well, my intuition wrapped it up in a beautiful little bow. So I started to work with it there. And then I felt pretty disconnected from the gym.
Mm.
And when you feel disconnected to something, the universe does something spectacular and they start to close doors. And I noticed that I wasn't happy. I was getting depressed. I had one fabulous woman who worked with me, but all of the others was trying to grow the gym. And no matter how much I tried to grow it, doors would be closing. And so I realized when one door closes, another one opens. So look elsewhere. And my intuitive life coaching was really blossoming. So I started to go there. And once I started to do that, then I had loved ones on the other side starting to walk in. So it just really was a long but beautiful journey, sometimes hard, but I just embraced it.
My God, I've heard parts of your story, but I never heard of him start to finish like that. And you know
Yes.
what? You just the way first of all, it's a beautiful story. And you just said it, you just said something that I think most journeys are can be long
Mhm.
with roadblocks and challenges and obstacles. It can feel hard
Yes.
and yet so worth it at the end of that road. I mean, and you said some things that are making me think about some things that are happening in my life right now that maybe the reason they're closing is because there's something better. Because I do believe that. And yeah, but when you get stuck in the, I think this is what I want, and you don't get it, you're like, but there's a reason. I've really, and I've learned this from you, and I've learned it from studying prior to meeting you that there is always something better waiting if something doesn't turn out the right way. My mom and my stepfather have always said to me, my Nana Brown would say, never be sorry for no.
Oh, that's good.
It's the same way of saying one door closes, another opens, you know, opportunities are in the mess. Never be sorry for no. And I
Yes,
love that. And that's what you make me think about. So I love that. So and I will say, Julie is my spiritual advisor. She has been so supportive. You've helped me and guided me just to have a deeper connection with what I want, with what I desire. I desire a deep connection with spirit and angels, but also a deeper connection with me, with my inner guidance system, you know, that intuition. So and that's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk. I started off by reading what I read at the beginning of this episode were actual word for word challenges that women have written to me that they're facing. Like one of my biggest challenges, figuring out what I want and who I am as a single mom and recent empty nester, trying to get back to focusing a little more on myself and eventually, you know, doing other things, but figuring out who I am now. And it does start with learning, maybe learning again about intuition. You had to go to life coaching for that to
mhm,
open that door for you. So let's start with the ABCs. Let's start at the beginning. What
sure,
is intuition? When we talk about intuition, let's redefine it for everybody who has lost touch with it. What is it?
sure. Our intuition is an innate part of us. We're all born with it. So every single person has an intuition. And we are so focused on life, on the physical things and the tasks that we have to do on the daily basis. And that kind of takes over all of us. But we have this beautiful other layer to us, which is our aura and our heart and our intuition and that inner wisdom that is connected to the universe, that has higher perspectives and higher intelligence. And it speaks out of love. And it is always a small whisper. So if you are wondering and making a decision on something, our mind can really come in and be such a chatterbox and it can be so loud and it can tell us what to do. But then there's this little whisper that will pop up when you're quiet and when you're with yourself, when you're washing the dishes, when you're in the shower, when you're driving, and it will challenge your mind. And the heart always tells us the harder but right thing to do. And the mind tries to keep us stuck and tries us to keep opening that door, right? That is wanting to close. And our heart says, no, look to the left or look to the right. There's an opening there. Trust yourself. Go there. And we're so afraid to drop down into our heart and into our body because it's change. And we don't like change. As a society, we think change is scary. And when you make one change, a lot of change starts to happen because
Yeah.
there's not such a thing as one thing changing in your life. It's a ripple effect. And we're so afraid of that. But our intuition loves change. And our intuition will always support us out of love and higher wisdom and wisdom from whomever you believe in, whether it's the universe or God, your angels, even our loved ones on the other side really support us. So it's very important to listen to that whisper. But most importantly, how do you listen to the whisper? It's getting quiet and spending time with yourself because again, our society has flooded us with Netflix, with podcasts, with audiobooks, the radio, needing to constantly stay connected to other people. And when we're constantly taking information in, that takes away from time with ourselves to hear our inner voice. So if everything sounds loud to you, then most likely your mind is going 24/7. You have a bouncy ball in your mind and you're letting your
Me.
mind take over.
Oh my
Yep.
God, me.
And so then you're more in the masculine state. You're more in the, go mode and do mode and listen to everyone else. So get into the yin, which is the feminine energy, and lay down for a little bit or, open up your heart by thinking of something beautiful and then just resting and maybe journaling out your feelings. and your intuition really will speak to you then. One thing that I do want to say, I hope that I can be bold here to say that your podcast speaks to many women. Would that be correct to say that?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Be bold.
So us women, we have such a tie to our intuition because we have wombs that hold life and hold babies. And that life in that womb is a space where a soul on the other side can come in. And it's higher energy, it's higher frequency. And how beautiful that we have that space inside of us to be able to hold life and a soul and higher frequency within us, that we have the ability and capacity to hold a womb of intuition that is in our heart, that is very loud if we allow it to speak more than our mind.
I love that. That's beautiful. Women just rock. Women
We
rock.
do.
We just do. And for any men out there that listen to my podcast, we love you too. We do. It's just, we're just stating fact. What? Go ahead. What were you going to say?
I was just going to say, the reason why I wanted to say that is because men and women are so different. Men absolutely have their own intuition. But the difference between men and women is our brains work very differently. Men are able to think of one thing and put everything else in boxes.
Yes,
And then they
absolutely.
take that thing, they put it back, and then they pull out another one and they unwrap it. For us, I'm here, right? But I'm also thinking, is my husband making the right food for my kids? Did he get my daughter up in time? So we're thinking about 50 million things. So our logical mind and our bouncy ball can be so much more erratic.
Yes.
So that's why it's a big reminder to tell us women that we have a greater womb of intuition, to really stop and listen to it because it's powerful.
I love that. I love that. All right. So you mentioned that, and I want to go to this because I loved it. During I'll share because one of my sessions with you, we talked about how I can get stuck in that masculine energy.
Yes.
And, I would love a little bit. You mentioned it a little bit, but talk a little bit for those that it might be, a new terminology, masculine energy, feminine energy, and that's like the yin and the yang. Is that what that is? Is it? Yep.
Yes.
But because it really resonated with me when you and I had our private session together, and I'm able now to really catch myself and say, wait, I'm shutting off the logic and the thinking and the thinking and the thinking and the doing. And I'm just going to take a minute. I'm going to deep breathe. I turn on my calm meditation music. I breathe and I just allow myself to get quiet because that was important too. Like, how do you tap into that intuition? It's my intuition. It's getting still, getting quiet. But definitely talk just a little bit about what the masculine energy. I already did, and the feminine energy is, because I think that might be new to some people.
So the masculine energy and feminine energy does not mean gender. The masculine means that we are more in our mind. We are more goal oriented. We have a to-do list that we're so stuck on and we just are on go mode. And we're very external and we always think about what other people are thinking about us. And we're trying to please other people. And then the feminine energy is more realizing that we need to rest, we need to heal, we need to listen to our intuition, we need sleep, we need higher perspectives and guidance. We have to listen to our own voice rather than go outside of us and ask for everyone else's opinion, and get connected to our mind, body, and spirit. So it is extremely healthy to have both. We don't want to be lopsided in one area, but we have to pay attention to, wow, have I stopped today? Have I listened to the fact that I'm actually thirsty and did I drink water, right? And it could be as little as that, or it could be a big deal by promising yourself that you're going to wake up every morning a half an hour earlier to stretch, to journal, pull an oracle card, to pray, to go for a walk, to give yourself your own time to understand what's going on within you. We need to release energy out of us to be able to pull in new and fresh energy. So, the masculine part of us is exercising, release the energy, but then you can go and journal and pull in your higher wisdom, which is at the feminine. So it's really good to balance. One thing that I have noticed is that our wounded masculine energy, which is a lot of trauma, which is a lot of separation in culture and politics and everything, that is going to start to really fall away the more we work within ourselves, and the more that we work within ourselves and understand how we can cultivate peace, more external peace will come. The wounded masculine energy will leave as a whole, and we'll then be able to balance really nicely within our masculine and feminine energies.
I love that. I love that. Thank you for explaining that. That was great. I love that. You talk about from the beginning, intuition being from the heart.
Mhm.
Because you hear when we all talk, when I've talked about it, you're like, trusting your gut, trust your gut, trust your gut. And is that because like sometimes we'll get a feeling in there, but it's really in the heart? Because when you talk about intuition and trusting, hearing from your heart and listening to your heart and feeling it from your heart, it's interesting because whenever I've had that feeling like, something's just not right. Or honestly, when I meet somebody, I'm like, there's just not a right person. Like I'm very intuitive that way. I would say normally trust my gut, but listening to you, I do feel it here. So it's
Yeah.
like trusting your gut the same. Is that what we're talking about? But you're just saying it's more in the heart. Opening the heart is how you begin the process of dropping from your head into your heart, into you for your intuition. Because, I think most of us think about the intuition as our gut.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not
Okay.
wrong on that. So the heart is the portal to all that is. And
Yeah.
when I say all that is, when we think of the heart chakra, when we open it up, so we are just frequency, honestly. All of us are frequencies. So if we are sitting in frustration, anger, confusion, resentment, grief, lower vibrational energy, we are more so disconnected to our intuition because all of those feelings have dense emotions to them. Our intuition is has lighter frequency and energy to it. So in order to hear our gut, we have to open up the heart. The heart is a portal to all that is, and especially higher frequency if that's what you're trying to work with. That is what I only like to really work with is love. So the heart is the portal to love. And when we think of something that is really beautiful, whether a memory or music or something that makes you so happy, your heart just immediately opens and your energetic frequency heightens. When that happens, we are able to then listen to our intuition more. Our intuition holds about 5 or 6 different ways that it talks to us.
Hmm.
So it talks to us through feeling, talks to us through knowing, through smelling, through tasting, through hearing, through seeing. And so when we open up that heart and raise our frequencies, we can feel our gut, which is clear sentience, which is clear feeling. And our gut, if you, Jody, really listen to your intuition through your gut feelings, then you are clear sentient. So opening the heart is opening the doorway to all of the different ways our intuition speaks to us. So when you hear your gut, don't, listen to that because it is your gut telling you something. I feel it in my gut as well, but I do have to open up my heart to be able to feel everything else.
Okay. Oh, I like that. Thank you. So I'm always learning from you, Julie. Always. All right. So we're gonna wrap this up. So for those women that have said, figuring out who I am now, what's my purpose, finding meaning, finding fulfillment. And maybe this is part of the dare. Maybe because I'm gonna ask you, give them like, can you, is it possible to give the 1, 2, 3, like where to begin, like 3 steps to begin, or even like the 1 step, and maybe because we always leave with the dare, maybe this is the dare to give them an actual dare is like how to begin. Where should I begin? I mean, I know you said it starts with getting quiet, so I'm going to let you. So bring it together for that woman who's listening. Say, okay, I'm ready to discover what's next for me. I want to reconnect back to me. Like, who am I if my kids are
Yeah.
not here? And where do they start?
Yes. Well, I first want to just say this quickly. I love that dare. And I want to say that so many people are trying to find their purpose in life. And I want one dare could be for you to think about so many people think that you have this one purpose and this one purpose only. I
Mhm.
want you to challenge that and think, what is my purpose today? Because every day we may have a different purpose. And when you look in the present moment for that purpose, you then can zoom out over the next year and realize that there was a pattern to your purpose, and that is your larger purpose. Okay. So that's one dare that I want you to look at. But for what you had asked me, it's so great. I would say think about how you can release energy from your body first and foremost. So, or from your mind. So, think of releasing energy. That could be talk therapy, that could be journaling, that could be exercise, that could be saging and releasing, energetic energy. Just get it out of you. Get whatever is on your mind out of you. Then I want you to be still, whether it's when you're driving, whether it's truly lying down on your bed, whether it is journaling again, because journaling can be releasing, but it can also be,
Quiet.
uh, giving energy to yourself. And then I want you to sit there and receive. I want you to receive from your higher self and say, to my higher self of my highest good, what do I need to hear today? And it's funny, I hold a course, and sometimes your higher self could say, just eat the pizza. And what that means is stop putting so much rules around yourself. Just relax and have fun, right? Or it could say, go to the doctor, or whatever you need to hear. It could say, love yourself a little bit more, stop beating yourself up. But the third thing, once you receive, is say, I trust what I received, and act on it. Actually do what your intuition wants you to do, because so many people receive but they do not act on it, and that's how they stay stuck, and that's how you do not find your purpose.
Love that. So wait, that's really, first of all, I love the dare because we talked about this before I even hit record. I remember you saying, because we think like, what's my purpose? Like you have this grand purpose. And what's my purpose today? Who am I right now? Like
Yeah.
what am I? Yeah, I love that. But I love this. So release, get still, ask, and I will write down exactly what you said, how to ask, and then
Mhm.
act. Because the
Yep.
asking is receiving. So it's release, get still, receive by asking that question for your
Yep.
highest good, and then take action on it. Act on it. I love that. Oh, these are good. This is a good dare. Because I think also everybody puts way too much pressure on themselves. Because I would also like to say, in the spirit of talking about shifting to the feminine energy and shifting into your heart, if you're a recent empty nester, or if you recently retired, or maybe you recently are widowed or divorced, sit with it.
Mm.
You have to jump right to the next thing. Just be
Right.
with it, right? Just be with it. Like, who am I now? Right now, I'm an empty nester. I'm a new empty nester. Who knows what tomorrow's going to right now? I'm an empty nester. Like, that's what you're making me think of. And like, okay, so what does that mean for me? And maybe journaling does help with that.
Absolutely. And I think sitting with things, Jody, it really creates, there's two definitions that I've been really hearing a lot lately within my intuition is emotional maturity and emotional endurance. And as I was speaking of earlier, our society trains us to have 30-second attention spans.
Mhm.
And because of that, then we have a hard time paying attention to our emotions for a long period of time.
Yeah,
So sit with it. I love that you said it. Sit with it.
I love that. I love this conversation. I could talk to you forever, Julie, forever. So, and everybody, don't worry. In our show notes, there's ways to connect with Julie. And I highly recommend it. She has a wonderful community she's building. She's a wonderful membership community she's building. Follow her on Instagram. Oh my goodness, follow you on Instagram. Just everything's in the show notes below. But Julie, I can't thank you enough for coming into my life and being part of Beyond Empty Nest. Thank you so
Aw,
much.
I'm honored. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
And everybody listening knows what I'm going to say. What was it? What was the one thing that Julie said during our conversation that had that light bulb go off for you? That you went, that's it. Oh my gosh, I could do that. Or you didn't think of it that way. The purpose of our show is for you to have that one moment from each of our speakers. And I promise you, those nuggets are in each one. So what was it for this one? Let us know. Leave a review on Apple. Send me a message and I will make sure to share it with Julie. We want to hear about you. Share it in the Moms Who Dare Facebook group, but I want to hear from you. What was it? And take the dares. Our dares are there for you to step out, to try new things so that you can discover and rediscover what's next for you, even if it's what's next today for you. So don't forget, we'll be back next Thursday with another episode of Beyond Empty Nest, and all of our episodes are still available. So go ahead and binge it, and I'll talk to you next week. And as I always say, dare on. Thank you for listening to this episode of Beyond Empty Nest. Head over to jodiesilverman.com for full show notes, more information, and additional resources. Speaking of additional resources, I've got a great one for you in the show notes below. So if you've enjoyed today's show and are ready to embrace this midlife chapter, then you're going to want to grab our featured resource called the Self-Talk Cleanup Challenge. You may not think so, but to quote our friend Oprah, the one thing I know for sure is that negative self-talk and thoughts are what's keeping you stuck in fear and lacking confidence to take the leaps in midlife that you desire to take. When you grab this resource, you'll receive the exact exercise my first coach took me through. It's simple, yet powerful. In addition, I'll send you a few other tools and tricks to help you knock out the negativity when it shows up, thereby increasing your confidence and your overall happiness, allowing you to have fulfillment and fun in midlife. You deserve it. So go ahead and grab your copy of the Self-Talk Cleanup Challenge, and I'll see you next Thursday. Until then, dare on.